Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Yadon, Managing Director of Saprea, and I'm so grateful to be with you today to talk about protecting children from child sexual abuse. I want to share a story about my daughter that hopefully will help you see the intersection between you as a youth-serving organization and this issue of child sexual abuse. So this is my daughter when she was in sixth grade. Her name's Sophia. As a sixth grader, she's innocent. She's in elementary school here in the United States. And she is full of life, has great friends, and is just learning about how to navigate life. I remember one day she came home and she asked me a very interesting question. She said, "Dad, what does the word prostitute mean?" And I was a little taken back. Again, she was in elementary school at the time. She was young. Where had she heard this word? Who did she hear it from? What was the situation? I learned that she had heard it on the playground at school from one of her friends. It was really important that I, as a parent, had a relationship with her so that she felt comfortable asking me about the word. She knew it had something to do with sex, but she didn't know what it meant. And so I took the opportunity to explain it to her. I want you to take just a moment, though, and think, what were the alternative options for her to find out what the word means? She could ask her friends. She's not going to get great information there. She could Google it. That's definitely not going to end well if she Googles the word prostitute. She could have had trusted friends or adults in her school setting right there when it happened, where she could ask or ask them to intervene. This is a great example of where there needs to be strong partnership between youth-serving organizations that engage with our youth and parents. Because in many cases, the Sophias of the world or the my daughters of the world do not have the opportunity to go home and ask their parents. And youth-serving organizations where there's trusted partners can be there for the Sophias of the world instead of her going to Google or going to her friends for this type of information. Let me fast forward to when she was in secondary school, or as we call it, high school here in the United States. She came home to me again and talked about this boy that was engaging with her. And this boy kept giving her big hugs and she didn't like it. And she had asked him to stop on multiple occasions. This happened again in a school setting where she was engaging with friends there at school. She came home and said, "Dad, what should I do? How should I handle this?" I said, "You have two options. It's my job as a parent to intervene, or you can practice what we've been teaching you, and that is setting and holding strong boundaries." I said, "Think about it and let us know what you want to do." She thought about it for a couple of days, and she said, "Dad, I would love to try one more time." So again, there she is at school. There are adults supervising the hallways there, school administrators that are seeing these types of activities happening. And as a partner with me as a parent, they also have the opportunity to intervene in a situation like this. Because she had a trusted adult to go to, she was able to not only go and reinforce her boundaries, but also had me as backup in case that didn't work. Fortunately for her, it did work. And the boy stopped hugging her without her permission. Again, consider the alternative. What if she didn't feel comfortable with a trusted adult in her life, whether a parent or a club she belonged to or a school administrator? She may find herself in a situation where that hug progresses into more severe types of touch that could turn into a sexual assault. Last one I want to share with you also happened in secondary school. It was her second to last year in secondary school, and she was attending what we call here in the United States as a prom, which is a dance. She had met the boy that she was going with through a club, through her ballroom dance team specifically. And she knew a little bit about him, but didn't know him super well. Well, in that moment, she was excited to go, but she started to have friends describe to her that she should be careful on this date. She should be careful with this boy. Again, because she had a trusted relationship with an adult, in this case, her parent, she was able to come and talk to me about her concerns. And we gave her lots of options, including not going. We gave her an option to set boundaries with this young man. We gave options for her to have me set boundaries with this young man. Again, the power of a trusted adult. In this case, she chose to set some boundaries and she asked me to set some boundaries, and she had a successful date. I share this story with you to make a very important point for those of us that serve youth. Our children, if they're going to avoid sexual abuse and sexual assault, need trusted adults in their lives. The primary line of defense is parents, and we want to have trusted relationships between children and parents. But as you know well, there are many youth in this world where the parents are not that trusted relationship, and in some cases are even those that are perpetuating the abuse. In that case, the role that you play as youth serving organizations and clubs is particularly important to give that child an alternative where they can go to a trusted adult, and that trusted adult can help intervene and reduce the likelihood that a child will be assaulted. And when you have both, meaning you have trusted parents and trusted youth serving organizations or clubs, the ability to protect that child is exponentially greater. And that's when we can really make a big difference with this issue of sexual abuse. I want to talk a little bit about the issue itself. Just make sure we understand the scope of this issue and how it impacts us as a global population and as societies. Child sexual abuse, from our perspective, comes in three different forms. There's the type of child sexual abuse that most people think of, where an actual touch has occurred. This includes child and youth molestation, child and youth sexual assault, or rape. You also have non-touch child sexual abuse, like exhibition or voyeurism towards a child, or deliberate exposure of sexual material to youth or children. Also, a growing part of child sexual abuse is digital or online sexual activity with a child or youth. The last type is commercial sexual abuse. This part has gained a lot of attention recently across the globe. This includes sharing of what previously was known as child pornography, now better known as child or youth sexual abuse materials. This also includes child or youth sextortion or sexual extortion, and then child or youth sex trafficking. Once we understand the different types of child sexual abuse, it's good to understand how common sexual abuse is. Generally speaking, 1 in 5 children will be sexually abused before they turn 18. 80% of that abuse is a situation where the child knows their abuser. That's particularly important as you consider your environments as a youth serving organization. Just going back to those incident rates, it's important to understand that almost half of child sexual abuse is another youth abusing a child. Most commonly, a young teenage youth abusing a younger child, or a teen assaulting a teen. So not only are you trying to protect your children in your youth serving organization from adults who could do them harm, you also need to take into consideration the high rates of abuse from youth to other youth. UNICEF estimates 294 million children have been abused worldwide. Just pause for a minute and grasp what that number means. 294 million of our children worldwide have experienced child sexual abuse. That is devastating. And it's impacting all of us in every part of the world, in every socioeconomic class, across all races, religions, ethnicities, across different types of environments, whether that's an environment where youth are gathering in a club, whether it's in a home. Sexual abuse happens everywhere. And it's important for us to understand it's a risk, not only within our organization, but to the youth we serve, both in our organization as well as outside of our organization. I have something I want to share with you, and if you want to just take a quick screen grab of this QR code, it's going to give you access to a research document that has 6 research briefs that help us truly understand the issue. So if you love data and you love the academics behind an issue and really want to discover more about the issue itself, this is a tool that will be helpful for you and your staff, and it's available for free download. Let's now focus specifically on your situation and how does child sexual abuse intersect with youth programming or child programming. I think one of the best ways I can share this is sharing an actual case study of a youth serving organization that has worked closely with Saprea to help empower parents of the youth that they serve, but also to protect the children themselves. Many of you are familiar with the National Basketball Association, or NBA. Well, the Junior NBA is the National Basketball Association's program for youth to help youth engage in the game of basketball. As you can imagine, they were gathering many youth from all different parts of the United States and other parts of the world. One of the challenges that they found is in that environment, they wanted to provide information to help children be safe. So for them, they have a section for parents. And under that section for parents, you'll see they have this highlighted section called child safety. They partnered with us at Saprea to provide some very specific resources that were for the environment that they were in, meaning specifically for the environment where they were serving youth. This same resource, which you see now on the screen here, says for caregivers and coaches, could be applied also to your youth organization. We're not expecting you at Saprea to become experts in everything to do with child sexual abuse. You're experts at serving youth. Let us be your partner in helping you be successful in keeping those youth safe. So imagine your youth organization having this same resource, child safety information for caregivers, and then fill in the blank, mentors, for coaches like we have here, for friends, whatever you call your youth serving staff, this resource is ideal for them. And it's also a resource you can provide to your parents of the youth that you serve to help them know that you are taking this issue seriously of keeping their children safe. Much like the last resource, this resource is also available for you to download as you see it here. But I will also tell you, if you would like to partner with Saprea, we will provide this resource free to your organization and adjust it so instead of it saying coaches, it uses a term that's more appropriate for the type of youth serving organization you are, the type of club you are. And we are happy to provide this resource to you that you can publish on your website or distribute to those that you serve, particularly the families that you serve. Next, what I'd like to do is focus on how do you recognize the signs of abuse? How do you know if abuse is occurring? The answer is varied, and like many things to do with youth, youth can show signs or symptoms that can be attributed to many different issues. So I'm going to just focus on a couple of signs that are higher risk areas. The World Health Organization uses something called social determinants of health. And there are 5 major areas that determine the well-being of an individual or family. Things like economic stability or healthcare access. Well, this document that you're seeing in front of you helps overlay the issue of child sexual abuse on those 5 areas. So let's just take, for example, social and community context. Let's say you're a club that serves LGBTQIA youth. You'll see here that those specific youth are 4 times more likely to experience child sexual abuse. So you may take greater measures to reduce that risk. Or children with disabilities who are 3 times more likely. What about the correlation with suicide? Ages 10 to 25, sexual abuse is the most adverse life event, is the adverse life event most consistently and strongly associated with suicide. So if you're really focusing on addressing suicide and reducing that risk in your club, addressing sexual abuse is part of that equation and part of your solution to help keep your youth safe. Like the other documents I've shared with you, you can download this and review it in more detail, including the references to the research material that attributes each of the areas of sexual abuse with the social determinants of health. As you start to see what some of the signs are, what are some of the higher risk areas for the issue, it will help you know in your programming where to start addressing certain types of interventions. I also want to talk about the sign associated with the brain's response to being traumatized. This is a very important thing for those that serve you to understand. Many of you or most of you have heard terms like fight, flight, or freeze. They're descriptions of biological responses in our body that occur when we're being traumatized or we've been threatened with a traumatizing experience, or we're recalling a past trauma experience. The most common sign or symptom when it relates to sexual abuse is the freeze response. What happens is the individual literally will freeze and not engage in either a fight or a flight response. The most common thing that someone in that freeze response will do when it comes to sexual violence is actually agree to the behavior. This can be particularly problematic because it appears that the child or youth is agreeing to the behavior that is unhealthy for them, when in fact it's just a limbic response. Another common limbic response associated with this is what's called disassociation. This is where the child will or youth will go into what appears to be a different place of consciousness. These are some of the signs or symptoms you can look for to recognize whether trauma has impacted a child you're serving. If you see them going into these type of behavioral responses, they may be being triggered about a past trauma that's occurred in their life. The last thing I want to focus on with you is an opportunity for us to support you in your work. We have a program at Saprea called Volunteer Community Educator. This is a way that you can get staff in your organization trained to deliver or facilitate sexual abuse prevention materials to your audiences, specifically the adult audiences you serve. For example, you may have someone on your staff you want to get trained in the issue of child sexual abuse that can then train the rest of your staff. Or maybe you want to do a parents' night for your club. This is the right program for that specific situation. What we do is we train that individual in your organization. The training, again, is a free resource. And we partner with that individual to then become the facilitator for that organization. It really is a win-win where we can augment or improve your programming to your parents or your programming to your staff. And the win for us is it allows us to get many more of our materials to audiences through our partners, which in essence helps us fulfill our mission and helps the partner fulfill their mission. So on our website, you can come learn about teaching in your community. There are 4 specific classes that can be taught. You don't have to be an expert in all things sexual abuse to facilitate these classes. We deliver the professional content via video, and in turn, the facilitator facilitates the actual class itself. As an example, this right here is one of the worksheets for one of our classes, the top 5 ways you can reduce the risk of child sexual abuse. We provide all of this curriculum for you free of charge and provide training on a regular basis so your staff can be trained. If you think this would be an important or valuable resource for your club, you can scan the QR code that you see right now, and that will take you to our website where you can sign up to become a volunteer community educator. The last thing I want to do is just make myself available to you as a resource. I'm the managing director at Saprea, and a big part of my personal work is engaging with partners to find mutually beneficial partnerships. You see my email right there. You are welcome to reach out, and we can talk together about how our organizations might partner. It's really important, again, when I talk about partnership from our perspective, that the benefit to us is not monetary. All of our resources we provide free of charge to you as a partner organization. The benefit to us as an organization is expanding our reach. And similarly, the benefit to you as an organization is it allows you to augment and grow your programming around a very, very important issue like child sexual abuse without you having to become the expert. It creates a really, really strong partnership with youth serving organizations, much like the junior NBA example I shared above. I hope that you'll choose to partner and choose to engage in several ways. First, going, as I said at the beginning, and learning more about the issue. The more you understand the issue, the more you can prevent it. Number 2, engaging in our programming in a way as a partner, so that you can leverage what we've done to make your service to your youth and your children even that much better. We all love children. That's our common ground. We all want to protect children. That's our common ground. We believe we can do it better together. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm excited to hear from you, to hear your questions, and to do our best to make what you do even better.